Kurt from Kurt's Auto. I only have 75 days left before I start a 2-week journey in this 79 Firebird. I have a ton of projects around here that the weather is finally getting nice and I have to do something with. So in the next 75 days, I have to make sure this car's ready to go, along with taking care of some of the stuff that I have around here. My yard has kind of became a junkyard. I sold my building a year ago, brought all of my projects home, and now my house is kind of surrounded by trailers and projects that haven't been worked on in quite some time, and I really need to do something about that. So over the next few weeks, I plan to take videos of the progress that I make with going through and figuring out what I'm going to sell or scrap or fix throughout my yard. So I thought I'd go through and show you all the vehicles that I have. One of the problems that I've realized is I had an issue where I never wanted to sell a car that may have had a problem with it. So I just kept them all and kept buying new ones. And I currently have a collection of about 20 or more vehicles that I need to do something with, because there's no reason to have this many projects. Because when you have that many projects spread out, you don't get anything done because you have too many things to work on. So with that, over the next few weeks, I plan to scrap a few, fix a few, and sell a few. And we're gonna have the best car trip of the summer, starting with the Hot Rod Power Tour and ending with 6 Summer, driving along with some of the fastest street legal or street drivable drag cars in the country. With that, I'm going to go through and kind of list all the vehicles that are here on the property and all the projects and things that I have to do to them, and that way I can kind of keep track of where I'm at over the next couple of weeks. Well, so we're going to start with this one in no particular order. This is my 79 Pontiac Firebird. I've owned this car for 26 years, and it's basically the first car that I built when I started my shop 25 years ago. We plan to take this car, like I said, both on the Hot Rod Power Tour and on 6 Summer. I do have a few modifications that need to be made. Carburetor needs to be reworked, and I have a couple other issues that I want to deal with. But this car does run and drive and is in pretty drivable condition as is. We go outside and the cars are just kind of piled up everywhere. I have a 66 International Scout that is my snowplow. It works, it runs, it starts, it drives. It doesn't really drive on the street because I haven't had plates on it, but as far as a snowplow goes, this thing works great. I have a Mazda B4000 that has a Chevy Caprice LT1 underneath the hood. So it has a 350 small block in it with a 4L60E transmission. It's kind of a burnout truck that we just beat on, and my daughter really likes it, so she's kind of been driving it. It's sat all winter because it's 2-wheel drive, and the brakes are rusted, so they're pulsating, so I do have to do some work on the brakes. This 79 Chevy, I've owned this for 26 years, and it has basically completely rusted out. I rebuilt it when I first opened my shop as one of the other vehicles that I built when I first opened, and it has seen better days. The whole body is just gone, the frame's gone. Pretty much this thing is a storage bin filled with parts that I also have to figure out what I'm going to do with, most of which will probably end up at the scrap yard, but it's been storing things for me, so it's just kind of sitting here. I have a 1987 Pontiac Firebird with only 28,000 original miles on it. It was damaged in 91 and taken off the road, and it only has the V6 in it, but again, I bought it. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. That's going to be a fix and sell is my goal over the next few weeks, I think, because I really don't need a Firebird. Inside the car trailer is a IROC that has a couple issues, but is mostly a running and driving 1986. There's my old body style Chevy with the big block in it with this another snowplow. Also, I don't really need that because I don't have my building anymore, so I don't need 2 snowplows. I have another Chevy that I've put together and pieced out of other trucks to make a very good, reliable truck that has a Tommy lift on the back, which is an amazing tool to have. I really like the lift gate. It allows me to move heavy things of metal really easily, so that truck is very valuable to me. And this is kind of where the junkyard begins. I have parts of a 65 Catalina sitting on top of a motorhome frame with a whole bunch of axles out of random things that have just been stuck over here. This trailer's filled with scrap metal, which I've actually been working on. I actually got rid of a car today, and I emptied the car trailer off over by the other trailer. I had a 88 IROC on there that was just scrap metal, and I threw that body away. So I am getting rid of junk, and I've actually filled this with cast iron, and I've kind of separated out some of the scrap, and I am taking more back this week. Here sits another square body truck that I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. It has a small block 400 and a 400 turbo trans. Just kind of sits there. A whole bunch of nice fenders and stuff for rat rods that are just kind of sitting in the yard, wasting away. In the backyard, the junkyard continues. Suburban that is pretty much just filled with storage. Hasn't been driven in 10 years. I used it as around my parking lot to pull that trailer filled with tires, and now it's just filled with parts, and I have to get that scrapped. That's definitely on the agenda to get rid of. My 85 Trans Am, which is sitting out here almost complete. I started to get the interior all done. It does run. It's getting really close. This one's definitely going to be a sell me or drive me, most likely sell me. I need to get rid of that one. That one's getting recycled. And then over here you can see the backyard's still filled with more trailers and parts, including a school bus. Yeah, I know, I own a school bus. Long story. It's not a long story. It's a short story. I bought a school bus. 65 Catalina that I've owned for, I've had this for 30 years. I bought this when I was 17 years old. And it is in here, buried, filled with parts, and a hot tub sitting on top of it. So this car is gonna run this year. It absolutely has to. It has been taken apart for at least 24 years, I would say, is the last time that car was on the road, and I need to do something with it. I currently have a cube van sitting in my backyard that I had thought these two were gonna make one, and I was gonna put the bus on the modern frame. It seems like a lot of work and not a very good idea. So probably got to sell some of this stuff also, along with a couple other homemade trailers. So my goal for this property is to have all of this wooded area cleaned out. We lost a lot of trees due to windstorms that we've had. So I want to get all of those cleaned up, and we're going to plant a bunch of flowers and other things in the woods. And I'm actually going to have a couple gardens this year. My backyard currently has a ton of wood in it because they've had a burn ban, and we weren't allowed to have any burning because of the high winds and such a dry year this year. Oh, I forgot also the projects that are in here. So besides all the stuff that's outside, this is my new garage that I built last year. Then in here I have my 1940, which I definitely want to get this car worked on. This one's going to take quite a bit of money because it needs quite a bit of work. So I definitely need to sell something in order to fund this project, but I definitely want to be able to start working on this very soon. I also have my 1940 Mercury, which is a running and driving 1940 Merc, and a 94 Pontiac Sunbird. That's basically my wife's car. This needs the windows adjusted because I never got the top completely finished, and it's only a summer car. So we're gonna get the top stretched this year, get the rest of the wrinkles out. I am definitely not an upholstery guy or a top guy. I attempted to do it myself, and I probably screwed it up, but it's we'll see what it looks like after I actually finally get the final stretch on it. They said to do it on a really sunny, hot day, and I haven't had the opportunity to stretch it. Well, I just haven't taken the opportunity to stretch it on that sunny, hot day and finish the roof. So we're going to get the windows lined up and get the roof fixed. And this car's basically a running and driving, completely rebuilt 1994 Pontiac Sunbird, which, yeah, it's one of those things that I spent money on that I probably shouldn't have. And it's completely gone through. And it's basically like a brand new car with a custom paint job, and it's a 94 Sunbird. So we all make choices. Sometimes they're not the best. This is actually my buddy's Mustang that is a current project that I'm working on. QA1 suspension setup to it, and we're waiting on wheels, which should be here tomorrow. And I'll be able to put this one on the ground. And yeah, that's kind of where all the projects are for the yard. My yard kind of looks like a junkyard, and I need to do something about that. 75 days till I leave for 2 weeks. This place has to look a lot better, and I have to get rid of at least 2 or 3 vehicles. Whether they're the ones that go to the junkyard or I can sell something, 2 or 3 cars have to leave before I do in June. So it's over here getting ready to use the truck, and the chicken decided to jump up. So figure she'd get a ride in the Tommy lift here. Oh, never mind, I forgot. If you have the hitch in, you can only go down that far. I gotta take the trailer hitch out. Forgot about that. Make my barrel too full here. Like that. Oh yeah. We're good. I can lift a lot more than that. I'm going to fill it all the way up with the rest of the cast iron that I have in the trailer, and we're going to go and recycle this stuff. I got a decent load of cast iron in here. Well, I ended up throwing some spring steel that was in this bucket and a couple leaf springs, and then this is the extra rotors that didn't fit in this bucket, or barrel I should say. So I'll take them in tomorrow. We'll see how much is in there. It's pretty heavy, but we'll get rid of this first. I think I'll come back, and then I'm going to pick up this pile of bigger metal and throw in a couple of these differentials that I don't need. I posted these 2 for sale on Facebook, and nobody's even messaged about them. So I think I'm just going to throw these 2 away because I really don't have any use for them. I think this is a G body that somebody's already cut the brackets off of, and I believe this is a 7.5 inch out of like a 81 Firebird, but it's junk. I don't need it. The other one's the 3rd gen F body that might have a purpose, so I'm saving that one. And this is an old Dana 44 that for the moment I'm going to save that one. I also forgot about this project. This is my 91 S10 that I've probably had for 16, 17 years. It's going to be a 472 powered Cadillac engine, and it's got a dually rear end that came out of the motorhome, or out of a motorhome. So should be a lot of fun. This one's another project. I'm currently missing pieces that I have to find in order to continue working on it. The thermostat housing seems to have gone missing. I have an idea where it's at now that the weather's nicer. I got to get into the back of that shed, and I'm pretty sure that's where the thermostat housing's missing it. So this will run very, very soon. To show some of the mess that I have to clean up back here, these are some of the trees that came down. There's all kinds of them that are bent over and broken half. We had several windstorms that came through here multiple times that have broken multiple trees. So I started cutting this one up a couple weeks ago. I got a couple branches cut, but it got cold again. But now that spring is here and the weather's getting warm, the plan is to get this all cleaned up so that way we can plant flowers all through the hillside here and back in this open flat part back here where we used to have our go-kart track. Plan maybe to get the go-kart running again this year too. Back here I kind of have a compost area set up, and this is going to be most of my garden. I think is going to stay on this side of the yard this year. However, I do have a large portion of yard on the other side of all those trailers that is also a garden. Most of those trailers, the plan is to get all that stuff moved to this side of the yard so that my neighbors, it's just a little bit further away from their house. Yeah, it's kind of a mess here. Plan is to really get rid of some of that stuff, but starting with the Suburban, for sure the Suburban and that Firebird do need to both go. This whole area of my garden is all asparagus, and within probably the next, I'm guessing 2 weeks, we're gonna start to see asparagus popping out of here. I haven't seen any yet, but I've been kind of looking. Any day now the ground's gonna be warm enough to where they're gonna start to sprout up. It has been really dry all winter, which I hope doesn't hurt the crop. I may have to get some water out here, but it is still a little early for it, because if it frosts after it grows, it ruins the crop and it like stunts the growth for 2 weeks. So you actually hope that you don't see any sprout up until the last frost, because otherwise it just takes longer to get good healthy crop to come back. But this should give me a ton of asparagus this year. Exciting. The rims and tires are here for the Mustang. Just gonna look good with the black wheels. Well, unfortunately I did just double check and the burn ban still is in effect. So until we get some more green on the ground, they banned burning in Dubuque County. So not gonna have a fire tonight, but that being said, I think we're probably gonna work on the Mustang for a bit. Well, I got the Mustang sitting on the wheels and I started to finish up the interior. I had to put a little bit more seam sealer up in the toe boards where we replaced the sheet metal, and I still have to put a little bit more of the sound deadener in. I got the new boot to go over the short throw shifter, and this car's starting to come together, so shouldn't be long and we'll have this Mustang ready to go. I think I'm gonna call it quits for the night and get up tomorrow and get rid of that scrap metal.